Hey Woodturners, I'm Captain Eddie Castellan. Welcome to my shop. See that thing right there? That is the most misunderstood piece of equipment used for wood turning. This little thing right here. This tool rest. From the books to the manuals to shop class to Mr. Everett in the 3rd grade and the 7th grade, it doesn't matter. This cannot be explained by a simple diagram. It can't. And if you've been working with it being explained by a simple diagram, you probably, you need to make some adjustments. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to build a brand new tool, and that's all coming up right here. Making shavings, and all you got to do, you know the drill. Watch. Here's the deal. The tool rest holds your tool, but helps you get the tool to the right position when it comes up to the workpiece. Yeah. Now, if you stand at the lathe, and your lathe is the wrong height, let me tell you how that works. Your lathe, that spindle, should be at the point of your elbow when your arm is relaxed. Mine is higher. And I'm even standing on the 1.5 inch pad. Why? Well, the lathe was made for somebody else. Now, I've adjusted because I know how to move my tool rest to make it work. But if you have the tool rest at the right height and you're standing there comfortably, and you put the tool, get this, like the book says, dead center, a 1/16 of an inch away, and you put the tool up there, and I'm going to over-exaggerate this, but not by much, and the tool goes up on an angle like this, because you're shorter, or the lathe is higher, or the other way around. You're higher and the lathe is lower, you're going to have a mishmash there. So what I'm going to try to do is show you where the tools should end up at on the piece. Now this isn't cast in stone, only because I didn't have any stone available. If you're comfortable with the way it works, you're okay. But if you get done turning and you're really feel too great, you got a little kink here and there, or your arms hurt, or you have a hard time maneuvering your tools because of where that thing is, then you need to make some adjustments. But like I always say, if what you're doing works, leave it alone. Don't do what a video says. Don't do what a master says. Don't do anything. If you're turning good wood, slicing nice, leave it alone. That's rule number 1. Well, I wish I could remember rule number 2. I really can't. So, to do that, I'm going to have to move you to a lower spot. And you're not going to see me. You're going to see the tool as it's presented. And I'm going to do about 3 tools. I'm going to put a gouge, I'll put a skew, and I'll put a scraper on the same wood. And then we're going to check up something sort of like a bowl blank and show you when that center thing becomes really, really critical. It's real. The only time I know it's so critical is when you're doing a bowl. Otherwise, the bowl's doing you. So I'm going to move you. We're going to get set up. And then we're going to make some shavings. But first, a word from me. So I'm the sponsor. Hey, in the last couple of years, the big trend has been going to carbide tools. Why? Because if you're sharpening challenged, then you really can't sharpen things. Carbide's the way to go. If you're looking for a good, easy way to get started, carbide's the way to go. The only problem is, this is the truth, carbide is outrageously expensive if you buy it from the wrong guy. Me, I'm the right guy. You see, I've got carbide cutters in about 10 different shapes. 4 or 5 sizes. I got 2 or 3 squares, some rounds, some triangles, some radius squares. They're built like me, a little fat in the middle. Alright, we have all those cutters. And we have them at substantially lower prices than the other guy. How can we do that? There's nobody between me and my manufacturer. Nobody. They come directly from the press to me, and that saves you a lot of money. All right, some round cutters on the market, retrofit items for somebody's tools, $16. I sell three of them for $24. You can't beat that. I've got other great prices too. All I want you to do is check me out. Go to my website. Here's the address right here, www.eddiecastelman.com. But do me a favor. Measure your cutter before you look at that site or before you give me a call. Because I get so many returns because the guy said, really, I thought that kind of looked like it's a picture. How can you can't size it. Measure it and then compare it, all right? Let's get back to making some shavings. Well, at least how to set the tool up to make some shavings and a brand new tool. As we get started, I want to show you something here. You see that ring? That ring indicates 000. If I put that at the top of my tool rest right there, that means the top of this tool rest is dead center of my tailstock and headstock. And that's done for a reason is if I got a spot of glue on there, I'll get that off. If I need to draw a line dead center on something and index it, I can say, okay, that's dead center. See, the line would be at the same point every time, and that could give me divisions. That's going to give me 6 divisions of the piece because the index on the stopper only has 6 points on it. I have to open up the head and use a different indexer for 64 points or 60 points, whatever. But that's also a good reference to me when I'm setting up for a cut as to where is that. You need to have an idea where it's at. Now, somebody is selling a little hose clamp with a thumb screw that you put on here to stop your headstock at the same place every time. They're about $5 or $6. Now, if you need that, go ahead and mail me the $5 or $6, and I'll send you a pencil or a scribe for you to mark that, because you'd have to move that hose clamp if I'm going to scrape this piece. Why? I'm going to go through a couple of them. All right, and I think I've got the camera set at the right spot. So, if I'm going to scrape, let's get in here closer and get over a little. There it is. If I'm going to scrape something, I only have a 15-degree face on this tool. I don't want it to be, this tool rest to be high enough to where that face rubs against that wood. That's not the goal here. We're scraping. We're cutting with the scraper edge. Now, at 000, that's the smoothest scrape you've ever seen in your life, because I didn't scrape. At 0, I am too high. When I put it on there, my tool is a 1/4 inch above the center. But that's not the important part. The important part is my tip will not make contact. It's way up here. There's a gap back there. So, if I'm scraping, and I know this, I bring it down a little bit, and then I get a good cut. There's another thing you could do. When I was higher, I could have kicked up my arm and my shoulder, and that would have, if I picked the tool up like this, that would have helped me with my edge. But I'm not in control of the situation if I do that. I've got it up here. I don't have a good handle on it. My shoulder's out of place, and I'm not ultimately controlling the tool. I'm hoping it does what I want us to do. So for a scrape, I am a little bit below. But I have to explain something else. I get asked this all the time. The height of this center right here. This. How high should your lathe be? When you stand comfortably and you cock your arm, that lathe should be no higher, no lower than this spot on your elbow, the spot on flat on your elbow, right there. Now, you can see, as I can see, this is 3 inches too high. Exactly 3 inches too high. This lathe was given to me. And it doesn't come with adjustable lathes. This version didn't. So instead of getting into it and cutting these lathe plates and re-welding them, which looking at it wouldn't be too big of a job, it'd be an all-day project, I've just adapted. I just know what I need to do to cut. So the old standard of this being done, this being dead center and a 3 1/16 of an inch away, really goes out the window when you consider this lathe is not at the optimum height. Same thing as if I was taller. God, I dream of those days where I could actually be taller than something. But I digress. If I was higher and my comfortable range held it here, all right, I would want to raise this because I don't want to be attacking it too low. The problem with attacking it too low, you get too aggressive, way too aggressive. And the possibility of a catch, a jam, and a throwback. And I'm not going to turn the lathe on to show this to you. I thought about that, and that's a stupid move, not a hero move, a stupid move. If it catches, it's going over. You're going to say, wood can catch? Wood. Now, that's a scraper. For me, I know my good cut is a little bit below center, so I've always got my tattletale mark. And how did I do that? That's so easy to do. I should sell this rig to show you. Maybe I did sell it. I took a hacksaw when I was sitting here and walked the hacksaw blade around it and did that mark. I have it on all my tool rests. That was a scraper. Let's look at something different. Let's go to 0, 0. Where 0, 0, I'm going to take out my skew. Now, my skew does not have a real dramatic long point, short point on it. Okay? There's only an 1/8 of an inch difference across the face of the tool. But it's enough. Here's the deal. When I put it up here from 0, 0, because I'm so low, and this is down where I'm comfortable, I like to have control over this. And when it's down comfortable, I can slide along here and do a pretty good cut. Now, I cut with my skew high on the piece. If I was taller and my skew, and I used 0, 0, my skew would be about like that. That's too aggressive. So, if I was taller making this cut, I would want to pick up my tool rest a little bit to raise my tool a little bit so that when I made that pass, I would be in a good spot. Holding it up to make that cut is awkward. It's a body movement that you don't want to make all day long. Because when you relax from it, you're going to find trouble. Okay. Next, we're going to look a little bit at a gouge. We'll use an Ellsworth. I'm going to use an Ellsworth to do this. And I think I can get you in a spot where you can see what's going on. I'm at 0, 0. With the short as my lathe is, look where the tool is. The only way I can get a cut is to roll it over or pick my shoulder up in order to rub that bevel and get that cut. Again, I've got my shoulder up. And because I do, I'm in an uncomfortable position. To get that, I had to pick it up. Now, normally my arm would be down. So I don't want to force a situation. That was at 0, 0. So I came down 1/8 of an inch. And I rubbed the bevel the entire way to get that cut. Now the same thing as if I was getting in to put a cove there. Special cuts, a little bit of rise on it. It wasn't too awkward. But I am below center to make that cut because I am so short. And this is so tall. Now, there's 3 tools on a spindle. I got to put a block in to show you something about a bowl because it's a whole nother set of rules. This is a plate. It's about 6 1/4 inches, 3/4 inches deep. I just have it up so I can show you what I was talking about using a gouge or even a scraper going across a bowl is the heights that you've been setting at. That all goes out the windows because now the most important thing is that little dot. See that little dot right there? That's the center point. That's the critical item. You want to do this when you're coming across and you're cutting to the center. If you're below, that's below. If you're below, when you get there, that's going to break off. That'll go away just like that. And the problem is, when it goes away like that, it doesn't leave a good surface behind. It's broken and torn grain. So when I was coming across just now, see how that broke? I would have done a whole lot better being about 1/8 of an inch higher. Then when I get near that center, I don't want to take too much off of the center. And I want to cut. I want to cut across it. Pardon me. That means I don't want to be moving my tool out to get into it or lifting up on it. I want to cut straight through it. And I don't get a divot and I don't get a bump. Don't know what to call the bump except a bump. But the height is critical. Now, if I was coming across to clean that up with my scraper, I would find out that I was 1/8 of an inch lower. because this cuts differently than that than this did. Right? You see, there is, well, let me explain a little bit more. That's a little bit out of sequence. While that's curing, because I had to put a block on a glue block to show you how the bowl thing, I want to show you a tool I made the other night on Ustream TV. And if you're not watching us on Ustream TV, why? Every Wednesday at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time and every Saturday at 2 o'clock p.m. Central Time, we're on Ustream TV. Go to Ustream, search Making Shavings. Looking for a shortcut, go to my website. All the way down the bottom of the home page, it's got a Ustream link. Go to that Ustream link and you'll find the channel on Ustream. All the old ones play there. Well, they only let you store 10 gigabytes. So all the way up to 10 gigabytes are stored there, all the old shows. But you can catch us live and you can interact with us through the chat network that they have established. The other night, we made this tool. Why? I've been showing duck calls and other things, and they all involved using a little detail tool to put a recess or a relief in the piece. And I've got one. And I think I got it through the LE Avocera package. But that's not available anymore. So I got so many calls, really, about making it or selling them. I don't want to make a tool like this right now, but you can. Here's the deal. This is just a handle I turned in the shop. It's a piece of Coca-Cola with a super glue finish on it. Nothing magic, real quick. It's got a furrow that came off another tool that I was throwing away. This is the tool. This piece is a piece of stainless steel rod I picked up at the local Ace Hardware store on the corner. Real easy. Now, I got the piece of steel and then I sharpened it. Now, I want you to take a look. I got a little backdrop on here. So let me get in closer and you can take a look at what we did. Now, can you... Oh yeah, that might be good enough. Well, let's go in a little bit more. Now, you can see how it was ground. That's the top of the face. And that's got a double or triple fasten on it, but I can take it to the sander or the grinder and relieve it, but that doesn't hurt. That's one facet across the front. Now, the back, it's relieved. See how I did it? I took it to a belt sander and I dressed it off on the back with a belt sander. Just rounded it about, little more than halfway, 240 degrees, let's say, because you're going to ask. All right? And then I flatten the top. Now, every time I want to sharpen it, all I'm going to do is flatten that top. And I get a pretty good cutting edge for what it's made. It's for doing a little detail. Now, there's not a reason in the world you can't make one of these. You go down to your local hardware store, you get about 12-inch piece of 1/4 inch stainless steel rod. That's a starter. Now, I had a guy call me last night that said, I can't find stainless at my hardware store. They have tool steel. Can I use tool steel? Sure. Don't overheat either one of them too bad, and they won't soften them up. Now, can I use mild steel? Yeah. If you like sharpening, you can use mild steel. But if you have nothing else, go for it. Okay? Make one. And if it fails and you got to change it, this is set in this handle with epoxy. Put your torch on this, warm it up really well, put a vice grip, don't grab one with your hands, please. Put a vice grip on it, it'll pull right out, clean up the drill, put your new one back in. It's just that easy. It's a tool you can make. I'm also working on a multi-tool that I've shown 100 times, and I keep, where do you get this, where do you get this, where do you get this? Well, I've ordered 2 from one company, neither one of them worked, and I just ordered 2 more this week from 2 different companies. I'm trying to find that tool for you, just so you leave me alone. No, I don't mind the calls, and I'm here to help you. If you ever need help, all you got to do is call the number. Think this number right here. and I'll be glad to help you. Phone rings all day long, and 2 out of 3 calls are, hey, how do you do this? How do you do that? Where do I get this? Where do I find that? So, now, this was shot out of sequence. Before I got here, we fixed this over here, so let's do that. And from there, we'll probably go to making shavings. Hope you can get one of those tools made. And remember, if you have to do it out of mod steel, just learn how to sharpen. And you can sharpen that with a diamond stone just by stroking it. You don't have to always go back to your belt sander or your grinder or anything else. Just a little pocket stone puts enough edge. You need a little burr to make it cut. Now, we have seen, or I've shown you, that the tool height, the tool rest height, varies. It varies by so many things that there can't be a lock, stock, hard rule for it. It's where the tool ends up. My scraper, below center. My gouge, center and just a little bit above. My skew, a little bit more above. So the tool rest has got to accommodate that. And also, it's, am I that short? Is my lathe that tall? Is my lathe that short? Am I that tall? Talking about me, you never use the term tall. Okay. And it all depends on that mishmash of information. The most is get the tool where it cuts best and you don't fight it. But more than that, especially for us older guys, get where you're not fighting the tool. Because when you get sore, you get a kick in your neck or your shoulder hurts or whatever, this is no longer enjoyable. And unless you're making a whole lot of money, why would you want to do something that's not enjoyable? So learn how to play with that tool rest and get it adjusted. And remember, that stuff you learned in the 7th grade, out the window. Those are the old days. The lathes were all about the same height. They're actually a little bit short. And you were learning how to spin wood. Now you're spinning wood, learn how to make the adjustments. I'm trying to learn how to make the adjustments. I'm trying to figure out how to, and I got started on this a little while ago. I think this week we're cutting legs off the lathe. Really. But first, we're going to build about a 3-inch platform, put it right here, and see if that's how much it needs to be. Now, wouldn't that be cheating? Just raise it and see if that's more comfortable, and if that's not, we'll make it a 2-inch platform. Well, maybe we'll make it a 2-inch platform and make it a 3. I'm going to play around with it, and I'll let you know how it makes out. Right now, I'm going to get over here and go back to making shavings. You take care, be good, and if I can ever help you, give me a call, look me up, look. Got my website right here, www.eddiecastellan.com. That's where you can buy all the tools and gadgets and gizmos and all that you need. And if you ever need to chat with me, drop me an email. Oh, if you put a comment on the video, there's a good chance I won't see it because of the way it's formatted, where it goes and all this stuff. So if you have a question or a comment, send it to me by email at this address, eddiecastellan@cox.net. That's how you get a response. It's not that I'm ignoring the comments. They changed the program and I ain't figured it out. See you later. Take care. Bye now.